So beginning with the text, just like an introduction. So today we're going to be covering how I create compelling flyers. I changed the title to how I create compelling flyers because the word compelling is relative. What is compelling to you might not be compelling to someone else. You understand? So, but the important thing we must take out of this is that you have to create, like you see the subtitle of this cover page. It's a strategic approach to creating the right flyer for the right audience. One of the mistakes that we all make is that you create flyers thinking that you're speaking to everybody. No, you create flyers specific to the audience you want to reach out to. That is my approach to flyer design. We are going to be going into depth as we continue. So let's get in. So to the first question, which we need to ask ourselves is, what is a flyer and what is it for? What needs to be compelling about a flyer? All right. So mind you, this WhatsApp class is not an in-depth or very detailed tutorial on how to use Photoshop. Please don't get that wrong. All right, don't get that wrong. I do most of that on my YouTube channel, so you can just check it out. Probably at the end of the class, I've dropped a link to my YouTube channel. So what's a flyer? So a flyer, you guys should not worry. You're going to get a PDF of all this in time. After this class, all these slides I'm sending in images. I'll send a single PDF for everything, and I'll also make available a more detailed PDF that is of this class itself. That is, I'm going to write out a lot of things that I'm saying, so you can read it like a book. But stick with me, and you actually get all these things. I'll make that public on my Instagram page, so you should check it out when it's out. All right. So what is a flyer? First of all, you have to understand that a flyer, or a poster in some cases, is a form of advertisement intended for the promotion of an idea, product, service, or event, put up or distributed digitally or in print for the consumption of a specific audience or demographic. Understand? Typically, they include both textual and graphic elements. Flyers are usually designed to be both informative. You cannot take that out. It has to be informative. That is, it has to be functional and eye-catching. Eye-catching is just the secondary part of it. All right, but the primary reason why you need a flyer is because you want to pass a message, you want to pass an information. Whenever you are trying to create a flyer, make sure that you are fulfilling this very purpose. Even if it's not that eye-catching, make sure that it is informative. That's the first step to creating a compelling flyer, because that is what we impact people, not how beautiful your flyer is. The flyer could be beautiful. Looked at it today, tomorrow I'm done with it. But if your flyer is informative, I could remember that information for months, in fact for years, in some cases. You understand? So let's move on. So just like a lot of things, flyers come in different styles. Just as you have different type of food, we have different types of flyers, or let me say different styles of flyers. They all have their audiences. Now understand that flyers are just a subdivision of advertisement design or advertising design. All right, because what you actually learn in this class is something that is going to be applicable to almost every kind of design that you're going to be doing, including what you do for your billboard. Your billboard design is also an advertising material, but you can't call that a flyer. But what you're going to learn here is what you're going to apply there. You understand? So technically, this should be called how to create compelling advertisement design. You understand? So it's basically the same rules, but the only difference is the specification. That is the size and where they are going to be used. Flyers are usually given in hand or posted somewhere. You understand? Posters are always posted. Flyers are given in hand. Billboards, of course, you know where billboards are, like very big area space. and some other examples. Pamphlet, you have a booklet, you have a brochure, and a lot of them. All of them follow similar, the basic core principles that we're going to be talking about here today. All right. So, like I was saying, flyers come in different styles. So you have them. You have the Memphis style. You have the Memphis style. The first three at the top. You have the corporate style, the three in the middle, and you have the vintage, grunge, and kind of retro style. So the Memphis style is usually playful, and it's usually to a youthful kind of audience, especially when you're trying to portray a form of youthfulness, playfulness. Depending on how you do it, it could be too playful sometimes, it might be not as playful. Like you see the one in the middle of, is it Charlie or something, Chastity or something? It's not as playful as what you had for sale. The sale on the right hand side, that's the yellow and the pink colored flyer. It's not as playful as that, you understand? So, but the idea is that there's this youthfulness, there's this free or light-spiritedness or free-spiritedness that this style has. So it appeals mostly to youngsters and young people anyways. Then you have the corporate one, appeal mostly to the business guys. They just like to go straight to the point. They're not looking to waste time. They're not necessarily looking for beauty. Yes, they're looking for beauty and orderliness, okay? But they make sure they want to make sure that you're communicating the idea. You understand? Everything is ordered. When you are working with corporate flyers, you have to make sure you follow a grid. You have to learn how to arrange things. Okay, that's really the selling point for corporate flyers. You have to arrange things. You follow a pattern. You follow a grid. It always comes off as a bit serious, not too serious, but it always comes off as serious, modern, clean, trustworthy, corporate, bold, confident. Any other adjective you can actually use to qualify them. Really, so those are the kind of audience it appeals to. So for the grunge, vintage, it's more for people that like the old school style. The old school style is actually quite interesting. As the name is old school, doesn't mean that it's not in vogue. It's actually quite stylish. In fact, you see a lot of that these days, especially the one in the middle. A lot of album art and the rest of them, you see them follow the one in the middle. That's the vintage retro kind of thing. It always has this roughness in it. You understand? So if you're an illustrator, if you have good illustrative skill, you actually find strength in this one a lot, especially the vintage style, the one on the extreme left. All right. So, but it's something that can be learned. So it's something that it's not something you just jump into. It's not something you each of these styles. There are many other styles, but each of these styles, if you actually want to improve, our advice, you take it step by step, one by one, and study them. All right. Maybe later in the future we'll actually have a course that actually goes in depth to this, but that's not for now. So let's move on. This is getting too long already. So regarding this one, I don't really know the particular name it's called. One thing I like to call it contemporary, so because it's like the modern. Let me not say the modern style, it's the common style now. And the selling point of this is that it combines a lot of styles together. It combines the grunge. You can find the grunge style here. You can find sometimes the vintage style here. You can find sometimes the corporate style here. But one of the selling points here is that it leverages so much on photo editing skills. So if you really want to be good on this, you have to, apart from learning other styles, make sure that you learn photo editing, retouching styles, color grading, and some basic things actually will help you create very, very good flyers. So these are the styles that have come. There are many other styles actually, but these are the styles I have come to notice, and I like to follow them and try to imitate them as much as well. If you want to learn these things, I would advise take it one style at a time. Let's say take it like 2 weeks. You are doing just one style. You're learning. Like I used to tell people, go and do flyer design challenge. That's how you will improve. If you're waiting for a client to bring a job for you, most likely not improve, because you have to create based on the client's style taste. Understand? So you have to have your own design that are to your taste. That's what we attract the kind of clients that you actually need. You understand? So let's move on to the next slide. So on this, understand the brief. That's one of the first things you have to do. To create a very good flyer, you have to understand the brief. Do not assume that you know what needs to be done without asking the right questions. Now, before you actually start the flyer design, you have to understand first, what is the message that my client wants to communicate? Okay, right, you want me to design a flyer? Okay, fine. What do you want your flyer to say? That's one of the questions I like to ask. What do you want your flyer to say? You understand? Because people need to hear something from your flyer. People need to understand something about your flyer. Okay, fine. You just created it. You just got a store, and you want people to know your store. It's okay, fine. That is something that people need to know. Now, that is, what is your client offering? What is your client trying to say? What solution is he providing? Fine. You want them to know your store has been launched. Now you have to understand that what kind of clients, what kind of audience are you communicating to? Are they past audience or they are new audience? Because if you are telling past audience that you just got a store, then you don't have to say much any other thing, because they already know what you do. But you are talking to new clients, new audience, or new customers. You can't just tell them that I just got a store. You have to make them understand that, okay, fine, I just got a store and this is what we do. You understand? So understand what a client is offering. Then also understand the problem that, understand what the client is offering. Then understand the audience that he's speaking to, or he or she is speaking to, and understand the needs of that audience. You understand? Okay. By the time you understand the audience and their needs, you know how to now tailor the offer in a way that to communicate to them. And that's what I like to call the love language of your audience. All right. The love language of your audience now leverage on your copy, that is your text on the design, as well as the style of the design. You want to communicate you are a modern social kind of brand. The style you want to be going for should be something that is kind of depending on how serious it is. You might want to hover between Memphis style or the corporate style. Memphis and corporate are actually quite similar, but just that they are quite, one is more serious than the other, one is more youthful than the other. You understand? So you have to understand the love language of who you are speaking to. Are these people going to respond more to a corporate flyer, or are they going to respond more to the playful Memphis style? Depending on how playful that brand can be. If you are designing for a business conference, trust me, you might not necessarily want to use the Memphis style. You might want to stick to corporate style. Or if you can get a contemporary style that leverages well on photo editing, if you have very good photo editing skills, yes, and leverage that, merge that together with corporate style, then you have something good. All right. So the idea is understand who you are speaking to. You might need a minimalist approach. You might need a corporate style to it. You might need something vibrant. You might need something exotic. You might need something funky. You understand? So, or what you can do is that you find out the style that has been used to solve a similar problem in the past, either by the client themselves or their competitors. Note that when you are doing this is only for inspiration's sake. You're not trying to copy. You're not trying to repeat the same solution. No, you're trying to improvise on a previous solution that has worked. You understand? Improvise them based on a better information at the present time. All right. Don't use the solution that somebody provided 60 years ago to solve a problem today. As much as the problem might be the same, there will be something that is very much different about both times and seasons that needs to be addressed differently. All right. So you looking for inspiration on the client side or their competitor's side or some other inspirational sites online, you are doing that to get inspiration. You are not copying. You are just getting things that you need to note. Okay, how was this communicated? How did they say it? Did they leverage so much on typography, or did they leverage so much on imagery? Did they what kind of text did they use? Some other things that you can consider. That's why when you are actually trying to get inspiration, you don't get inspiration by copying what you saw. You try to understand and analyze what the designer did, why he did what he did. That is when you can understand that, that's when you know how the approach that you can use to solve your own better. Follow a similar approach you use. Similar, not exactly the same. Similar. All right. So, like I've been saying, understand the style that best fits your client's job. How do you get the style? That's what I said. Understand the audience first. Are these people serious? Are these people they playful type? Are they not playful as an extreme playful? Like the extremest point for playfulness is when you start designing for children. Understand? The way how playful you get there is different from how playful you get when you deal with youth. Understand? So, and there's still a level of playfulness when you're dealing with aged people, or there's a style to it. There's a more there's a better approach to it, anyways. Well, some of these things is what you discover when you observe people's work, and actually, especially people that are actually doing well in the field. You imitate. One of the things I like to do is that I look for people that are doing very well and try to understand what they do. I don't just copy their designs. I try to understand why they are doing what they are doing, because that's what is going to really help you. All right. So now, when you identify the style that resonates more with the audience of your clients, then make sure your client's on page with this, because it will be funny when you say this is the best style that works for the audience and the client doesn't know, and when you are done, the client answers he doesn't like it. Now you have to actually discuss. This is where your professionalism come into play. You have to agree with, sir, this is what I've actually discovered for this particular kind of job. These are track records, or these are evidences of the style of design that will actually work for them. So this is the style of design that we will most likely create. See, one of the lessons I've learned working with clients is that don't always do a design, work with a client expecting to give them one flyer. No, see, be ready to give them like 2 or 3 options. That is why you cannot price them cheap. Understand? See, that's why you have to be, although all these things are in levels, all right? Don't go too far. All these things are in levels. Don't go too far. You might go as high as, okay, if you're okay, be like, okay, fine, I'm going to charge this person for 7K and I'm giving him 2 flyers. Now, note that within that 2 flyers, you make the client understand, okay, fine, this is the best, what I suggest, based on what I found, that this is the best style that works for you, and this kind of design I'm going to do. So I'll do one design that is following this style. Understand? Then I now ask the client personally, okay, so what style of design do you think you like? You understand? I try to ask him why. Does he think it will work? Blah 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 blah. Like, question him. If he thinks it's going to work and he insists them, so do one that is based on your recommendation. Do the other one that is what he likes. Or if he doesn't, if he's trusting you, then do 2 that are based on your recommendation, but the same style but probably different layouts. You understand? So that is not just a little tip about how to do that. So once you've identified the style that is going to work, then you need to go and get inspired. How do you get inspiration? Now you have to go online. You have to go to places like Behance, Pinterest, Instagram. You can go to your client's website, search for previous work, especially if they have maybe their clients, their website or their social media page. If they work with some very good designers, you can learn from that. If they have competitors doesn't necessarily mean people that they are against. No, competitors are people that they have similar audiences with. Now, you need to learn from competitors that have, of course, done better than them. You can't expect that a new store is just only within Lagos and you want to go and copy another store that is just within Ikeja. No, you should be looking for a store. You should be looking for a store that has copy at least within many more states in Nigeria. Do you understand? So that is the kind of competitors you want to learn from. Competitors, like I said, competitors are not necessarily people that you want to compete with, like negatively. There are people you also want to learn from because they are in the business, and most especially the ones that have done better than you. Now, like I said, identify. Now, when you found these styles and you have actually gone for inspiration, now what I usually do is that you select like a number of designs that you like. Let's say you have identified the 2 styles or the 1 style that you think you want to design. Then go online, download flyer samples on that particular area. Download like maybe 10 different ones. You understand? So what you now do is that analyze all of them. You have to identify the elements and principles of designs that they use, the elements, the principles, and the techniques used. Understand how these guys use colors and understand their harmonies through the fill types. They use outline fills or they use area fills. Understand the way they use typography. What kind of font are they using? Sans serif or serif or whatever other style of font they are using? What weight of font are they using? How do they control their tracking? How do they control their leading? These kind of questions you have to ask yourself. Look at it. Are they using textures? What kind of textures? Are they using geometric textures or they're using grunge kind of textures? Understand? Understand the technique they are using. Are they using photo retouching techniques? Are they using photo manipulation techniques? Are they using text manipulation techniques? Are they using color grading techniques? Are they using photo manipulation itself? Okay, I think I said that. Are they using whatever style you think they might be using? Now, this is how you actually learn. When you know this, okay, fine, I don't understand, I don't know this style, I don't think I've ever heard this style before. Then that's what now stir up what in you what you now need to go and learn. You understand? Okay, fine. You notice that these people are using text manipulation. Okay, I don't know how to use text manipulation. Then you go to YouTube or you go and buy a course, whichever one, or meet someone. I need to learn this. Can you teach me this particular style? All right. So, but YouTube is really the best bet. Okay. Download a course that specifically address that style. Learn it. When you now learn it, then you now go back to the work that you need to do. But most of the time, I don't encourage you to learn when you're working on somebody's job. Learn when you are free, so that when your client comes, you will have already learned it. So focus on the styles that you already know. So the idea is really that you should do what you already have. So that's why you have to keep on learning, so you keep finding better ways to actually present the best to your clients. You have to understand the style, the layout style they're using. Are they using grids? What kind of grid? Are they using symmetric balance or asymmetric balance? You have to be able to identify all these things. That's why you should have a good basic understanding of graphic design principles and elements, and other peculiar styles that you find in the works that you get to see. Learn what you need if you haven't, after or before a client's work, not during a client's work. Before all right, I hope you get that. So that's all about inspiration. I'm going to send the next slide on some places I use. So as regards, I think I'm going to try to keep these voice notes short, but I think for the best, I think I need to just record it one per slide so that it's all relatable. Now, I use Instagram. Okay, I barely use Instagram. I mostly always use Pinterest, but being on Instagram, I really the next. I really like the other ones you can use. Even Google, you can use that as well. But one thing I suggest is that whenever you are searching for inspiration, use one word search. Don't go and use flyer design for product showcase, flyer design for fashion week. I advise you just put fashion week flyer, or fashion flyer, or corporate flyer. In fact, there are sometimes you just use only one word. The idea is don't use too long phrases, because the people that are uploading these things online, they are not tagging it with that much. You don't know the exact. Okay, fine. Let's say I'm uploading a photo on Instagram or on whatever. I might title it with, let's say, a long title. Yes, but what are your chances of getting the exact long title that I typed in? Because if you really want to get that picture, then you have to be able to type the exact title. If you want it to come up at least as part of the top searches, then you have to be able to type the exact title. Since you cannot do that, what you now do is that make use of keywords that can be likened to that particular style of design you're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for corporate flyers. Don't go and use corporate flyers for business summit. No. You either use corporate flyer, business summit, business flyer, submit flyer. Those kind of. So you want to just stick with maybe maximum 3 phrases, sometimes even 1. You understand? You increase your chances of getting pictures. Getting more better functional result. If not, you just keep searching and you will not get anything. Do you understand? So this is usually the technical part of it. I mean, this happens now when you are satisfied. Okay, fine. I've seen the style that I'm going to tend towards, and I understand it to an extent I can create it, or I have the required skill to create it. Now, what you now do is that you have fed your mind with so many ideas, so your mind is loaded to reproduce. It's like saying you put some input values to your computer software, and the software now use the input value to create into it like a kind of equation and generate new values for you. So that's the way it works. That's the way your mind works. So feed it with inspiration, lots good inspiration, not any kind of inspiration, very good inspiration. And that's why I would suggest you stop. No, like have a high taste. All right, have a high taste, so that you if you don't have a high taste, you actually not go outside your comfort zone. Understand? Of course, work with what you know when you're dealing with a client's job, but when you are learning, try to go outside your comfort zone. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect the same. You expect a different result. It doesn't work that way. So now, how this works? You sketch a full rough layout. Now, for you to effectively sketch layouts, you have to understand how to create layouts. I think I have a post on my Instagram that talks about how to create layout. Like I said, understand that you need to have one focus in your layout, one big thing, one few in the medium category of hierarchy, and many other things, or a few more things in the least category of hierarchy. I always like to keep it within just 3 levels of hierarchies. You understand? Because it's a flyer. It's not like I'm creating like a newspaper layout. That one you can have different levels of hierarchy because of a lot of information you're dealing with. So sketch out a few rough layouts as you are inspired on paper or on PC. If you are sketching on your PC, you want to work with just black and white, creating rectangles, or probably creating circles or lines, other kind of things, as you can understand. I'm going to explain how you can do that. So in the class I said I'm going to talk about, that's still on this same topic. Yes, I'm going to be describing that live. Yes, it's going to be a video session. So, but watch out. I'm going to let out that information on my Instagram page, so it's going to be public. If you are following me on Instagram, you actually find it, or probably Zach Kingston will pass the message. Whichever one works, but I would suggest you actually follow my Instagram page. So you have to pay attention to basic layout principles. And that is, understand that you need to have one focus. That is, one focus that has the highest level of hierarchy, that drives the biggest, attract the biggest attention, the biggest level of attention. You should, nothing else should compete with that, with it in terms of attention. All right. Then a few other elements in the medium level of hierarchical elements, in the medium level of hierarchy. All right. Then a few more, very much more, in the least level of hierarchy. What do I mean? It's like saying you have big, bigger, biggest. There's the biggest, which is the focus that commands the highest attention possible, and this big, which is like the smallest, commands the least level of attention possible. And the one in the middle is just like in between. It's not really anywhere. It's just in between. You understand? But that middle again, take it from me, that middle is not exact 50%. That middle is either like on the 40. If the highest is on 100%, the least is on 0. The middle is not most of the time not on 50. It's really on the 60 or on the 40, not on the 50. What I'm just trying to say is that it should tend towards either the small or the big. It should not always stay on the exact half or the exact half of it. You understand? This will be very much better when in the class I'll be taking that. This is very much better when I'm actually showing you practically what I'm doing, what I mean. But really, this is just the best way I can describe it. Now, if your design is intended to be image dominant, that means you want a lot of images. You want it to leverage on imagery, purely imagery. Then you should know that you don't have to put much text there. Let's say the person you're working for says, okay, fine, I want to put this social picture, I want to put that picture. Okay, make them understand that. Okay, ma. Now, it's not that you cannot put pictures, but you cannot have so much text as well. You have to make them understand that there has to be a balance between text and image. If image is going to be more, then text has to be less. If text is going to be much, especially in typographic banners, then the image has to be less. As you are dealing with the typographic, most typographic banners always have one image, and it's not always big, it's always small. Look at magazine covers, for example. You understand? The text are always very much more. You barely have a magazine cover that has more images than the text. No. All right. So you have to be able to create that balance. Am I going for images? Text should be little. Am I going for text? Images should be little. Do you understand? Then position each element as simple as possible. The big text as rectangles, small text as lines, images as light rectangles, or a quick freehand form sketch. You understand? If you are sketching on PC, just adjust the brightness levels of the shape according to their respective hierarchy. If, for example, you're working with a bigger, with something that's going to attract so much attention, you can leave it as pure black. If you are working with something that's going to attract very little level of attention, then you can leave it at, let's say, almost close to white, but not white. White is like the least. So you can put the least. What is like the least? So you can put other ones that are close to the least as maybe like 20% or 30% black. You understand? Then the ones in the middle can just be around the 40 or 40, or let's say 60% black or something. All right. So at the end of the day, this is what you have. I did this I did it for a friend actually. I did this for a friend actually. So I sketched with my pen first on paper. You can actually do either of them. You don't have to do both. But I did both because of this class. I did on paper, I did on PC, so that you understand that you might not necessarily have your pen and pencil. You might not have your pen and paper. Sometimes you can do it on your PC, depending on which is comfortable for you. All right. So I can use any one of them, but in best case, I like to work with pencil because it's straight from the mind, no delay, no complicated. You understand? So then what you have, the layout on the PC is just when let's say just want to freestyle, just want to flex. You understand? It's not really that needed. You understand? Because especially if you have already done the paper sketch and you understand it. This one in PC, it's more appealing because you can share it. Someone else will be able to read it. But if it's just on the pencil sketch, someone else might not be able to read it, might not be able to understand what you did. You understand? So if you are going to be working with somebody, then the person either should understand your pencil sketches, or the person should be able to create something more what's the word now? Something more organized, like you can do on your system. It's like when you're doing UI designs, you have the low fidelity prototype, you have the medium fidelity, and I think something like that. I'm not a UI designer, but you need to learn from many places to actually help you actually elevate what you want to be known for. You understand? So I learn from photographers, I learn from UI guys, I learn from engineers. I'm actually a mechanical engineer by discipline. I studied mechanical engineering, though I'm not actively practicing. I'm supposed to be. I practice mechanical design, so that's why I have so much interest in graphic design, because they're related, but mechanical design is kind of more analytic. So that's by the way. So you get the point. All these that I'm doing, they're just for the sake of this presentation. I don't do all this when I'm working on an actual client. Why? Because I already know these things. So, and I don't necessarily need to show like, okay, so this is the sketch I did for this design. No. This one is just for yourself, and maybe you're collaborating with somebody. You understand? Most of the time when I'm done with my pencil on paper, that is all straight to the design. Sometimes I don't even do the sketch at all. That is because I've been able to train myself to the point. You understand? You have to understand layouts well enough. At some point you might not need to sketch anymore. So you might not need to sketch anymore. You already know what you need to do. It's already in your mind. You have a perfect image. You go straight to it. But sometimes, for some levels of work, you might still have to go back and sketch. It actually helps you, especially if you're the type I don't like to waste time. Most of the time, when I have a job to do, I first of all think about it. Sometimes I just go and sleep. I have an image in my head. I sleep, and that's all. Sometimes, if I don't forget the image, I just do a rough sketch. So I will continue my thought process when I wake up. You understand? Sometimes I sleep, I still have the image. The image is quite simple. When I wake up, I still remember. So when I go to my system, I barely use an hour and I'm done with what I need to do. But if you're the type that somebody says you do a design, quick, immediately I've opened Photoshop. You might stay there for like 4 hours. You don't find something very good. Understand? So feed your mind with inspiration. I've used Pinterest almost every day. In fact, Pinterest already knows the kind of things I search for. Flyers. flyers, and it knows the style of flyers I always search for. I don't most of the time search for corporate flyers. I don't most of the time search for grunge or vintage style. I always search for the contemporary style. You understand? I barely search for any other ones, except let's say I particularly want to do it for a particular job, then I go and search for that. You understand? So I most of the time sometimes have my sketch, because of the level I've been able to build myself. I don't always have to sketch. You understand? But if you are sketching, if you don't waste your time, you want to be organized, go through this process. They will help you. So by the time you have actually finalized your assets, you have finalized the layer that you're going to follow, assuming that we have chosen this layer that I sketched earlier, assuming you have chosen that, by the time you have finalized that, then you now need to know, okay, fine, what am I going to okay, and now I need to get those images that will fill those places that I highlighted. Understand? I would have said that I would have labeled this thing for you, but I don't think that was needed. I don't think that's going to be needed. So I'll say label, logo, title, subtitle, blah blah blah, picture, name, blah blah. You can do all those things. Most of the time I like to type your content out first. I use Notepad in my design. No. Notepad is part of my design software. I type out everything I'm going to design before I start designing. In fact, I even arrange it. This is the title section. The title section might involve the core text that people need to see. I have subtitle that usually other information that explains the title. I can have more than one subtitle, you understand, especially if you're having a more detailed flyer. Then I always have a CTA. CTA is the prompt. Okay, what next for the customer or the audience to take, the next action for the customer to take or the audience to take. Let's say it could be visit my website, it could be order now, it might be call us now, it might be that is CTA. You understand? So I don't most of the time have everything gathered. Then I go ahead to search for images. Images on my images. I go to Pixel. Sometimes I use Google. I use many sources actually, but I'm going to show you all that now, so you don't have to worry about that. All right. So like I was saying, you have to get your assets, like understand the colors that you're going to use. What colors am I going to use for this design? Okay. What texts am I going to use for this design? Get your text content. Don't work on the design. Okay, we are going to. If your client tell you that it starts, we will send all the contents later. No. If you don't have your content, you cannot create a layout. Your layout that you are creating is based on what you're already giving. You only see, as a designer, you work with what you are giving. You understand? You don't work with what you have not been given. You need to know. Okay, fine. This is what we are working with. So don't tell me that starts by the time my boss has not finalized this thing yet. When she sends it, I will send it to you, so you add it to it. No, see, if you don't want to destroy what you are doing and you don't want to stress yourself, tell him that, with all due respect, I do not start a project that doesn't have all these assets ready. As serious as you take money, take it, because see, at the end of the day, you feel stressed for little money. That's how it's going to be, because by the time I give you an information, after like 3 hours I've been on that information, 3 days I've been on that information, sir, the money that I'm supposed to pay you, the money that I paid you for one flyer is not the same as the stress that I've put you through, because that stress now is the stress that you would have used for many more flyers, but I'm paying you for only one flyer. So get all the contents. Do you want pictures? Send me all the pictures. I have all the pictures. Or if something that really they cannot help with, they say, okay, how many pictures are coming in? Okay, 100 pictures, but we only have 20 now. Okay, you say it's 100, right? So I'm going to create a layout for 100 pictures. So you know that yes, they are giving you 20, but you know that you're working with only 100. You're working with 100, so you prepare for 100. But we don't know how many pictures we are going to get. Starts, but we don't know how many people. When we, as many as we get, we will send it to you. No. You know what you need to start. You know what you need before you start. All right. Generally, just try to gather all or most of what you are going to need to complete the design for you beginning. There are some things that you have to get when you are designing. Let's say you want to get the texture, but not core things like your text and images. things like text and images, you have to get it from the beginning. But things like additional effects and all that, you can get that while you are doing your design, or even when you are finished with your design. But things like the text, the things that form the main structure of the design, you have to get it from the beginning. All right, because that's what your layout is really going to stand on. All right. Okay. So searching for images. So like I said, use one word or short phrases for searching. All right. Especially when you're working with Pixel and Unsplash. On Google, you can type a long phrase and you still get good results. But Pixels and Unsplash, their search engines are not that powerful. All right. What you can do is that you can search for an image on Pixel using Google search. How I usually do it is that I just search for. I put in if I don't go to Pixel, what I just do is I type the phrase that I want to search with, then add Pixel at the end of it. It will bring the search result on Pixel. You understand? But that is a bit technical. You don't want to disturb yourself. Just go to Pixel and type short one-word phrases. Then look at the suggestions too. You understand? So it will help you navigate better pictures than just typing, okay, woman sitting on the table. See, that you might not be able to get that. I'm not able to get that. So you need to be specific. Like I use the business woman, corporate woman, short. That is it. You really want to get something good, that is how you search. Don't search with sentences. All right. Most people that upload pictures, they don't upload with complete sentence. In fact, the spelling might not even be correct. You understand? So except you know the exact sentence he used to upload it, except you know that, then just stick to short phrases. And Google has a setting that you can do, especially when you're using the desktop version. You see if you see the image I'm using there, you see under the search button, you see tools, highlighted tools. Then to the next line, go to the extreme right. You see where the large is. I think it should be size that should be there. So you just select large, medium, low. You just to show you the different levels of quality. So that's how I actually get high quality images from Google like that without having to go to Pixel or Unsplash. You understand? That's how I get them. But it's a but. Most of these images are copyrighted. You can't use them for free like that. So if you look at copyright license, blah blah blah, you can check that and look for the one that free for commercial use. You can select the option too. Ideally, those are just filters you can use, all right, to work with. That's for Google. But if you don't want that stress, just go straight to Pixel and Unsplash. Pixabay, I think FreePix has its own. As many of that, just search on Google free stock of commercial free images. It will bring out different websites for you. So, but these are the ones that are actually in common use. Pixel, Unsplash, Pixabay. I didn't put Pixabay there, all right, but it should have been there. I forgot. But Google Images is really like your best friend. It leads you to everywhere on the web. You understand? So I hope I'm not moving too fast. Okay. Now start with the core focus. All right, the core images. When you want to start creating, start with the core images. Don't start by putting all the text. Start with the title, and if you are going to put the focus as the image, then make sure you start with the image and the main title and the background. Those three: the core imagery, the title, and the background. If you can start with those three. Most especially start with the core imagery and the background, because most mistake most people create is that they create their core focus independent of their background, and which is usually bad sometimes. All right, usually bad. So best case scenario, you create your focus in the core imagery to in a way interact with your background. It shouldn't look like it's different from the background, yes, but it should still interact. It should blend with each other. Then the title text can come in. I'm going to show you what I did with the sketch that I did earlier. I'm going to show you the design I did in the next slide, I think. So when you are done with those three, the core imagery, the title text, background. Now remember that your background should remain in the background. Like I usually say, your background should remain in the background. Your background is not meant to this to call for attention. Your background should be mild. Your background should be smooth, not smooth. Your background should not shout. Your background should be peaceful, should be not necessarily plain, but it should be straightforward, simple, not too much drama. By the time you start having too much drama in your background, you'll be distracting the viewer from the core focus that they should be looking at. All right. So most of the time are either plain, blurred out, or one way or the other, less in focus to the title of the text of your design. Okay, look at this page, this slide page, for example. One of the first things that you're actually going to be engaged with is the eyes that you see. From the eyes, you see the text, or you see both of them together because they're very much close to each other, so you kind of see them together. But the background will not really attract much of your attention because it's just a pattern, and it's a consistent pattern. Okay, not that consistent, but it's not so inconsistent that it's distracting you from what you should see first. All right, so keep your background in the background. All right, your background should remain in the background. It should not call for attention. All right. So guys, so this is what I was able to create with the sketch I sent to you. Though I made some adjustment. So not something. Your sketch is not always final. All right, there always be some things that you change. Like for example, there are two logos here. Even though those logos are fake, and I just did something very fast like that. The two logos, one logo was supposed to be at the bottom. In the sketch, the logo was at the bottom, one was at the bottom, the other one was at the top. But I just put both of them at the top because somehow it just fits better with the layout. Now look at my background. My background is blurred, that you mostly cannot tell what is in the background. Do you understand? It is so you can tell a little bit. You can faintly tell that okay, find this group of people sitting on they are sitting around the table, especially in the black version of it, the dark version of it. They are sitting together on a table. It looks like it's a business meeting. This is a corporate flyer. You understand? I would say no, this is not necessarily corporate. This is a contemporary flyer because it has some. It's not necessarily pixel heavy, but it has some imagery techniques. All right, the blurred background, the blend of the woman, the core woman that is into the background, that kind of thing. So I would say it's contemporary. Though if I had more time, because I did this today, this evening, shortly before the class. So if I had more time, I would have added some embellishment to make it more stylish. But then I think this still does the job. You understand? So the key, see the background is not calling too much attention. It's not interrupting with my text. My text is legible. Don't sell legibility because you want to look beautiful. All right. So my background is in the background, like I always say. Now layouts, I use a 3-column grid here, though you might not be able to tell. Because the grid is not so. You might not be able to tell, but there are ways you can tell. Actually, if you divide this into 3, you see that the woman is on the first division on the right hand side. Then the rest of the text are on the next 2 after it. Understand? So we have one focus here, which is what? The woman. And if you see from our sketch, that's the biggest rectangle in our sketch, right? The next one is what? The title, which is lorem, right? That's the next one. That is the title text. Now this title text has what? Subtitle. That is what is lorem ipsum dolor, then sit, amet, consec. All these words are dummy text, so don't think that they mean anything. All right. So that is the title text and the subtitle under it. There's another subtitle now. That subtitle is what we have as that list, that 3 group of lists that have the same subtitle. You understand? All right, so that's another subtitle. That's subtitle 2. Then you have other additions like the width. That is supposed to be width that is above the woman and her name that is under. You can see that those things are not calling for attention. They are part of the list category of hierarchy. The list category of hierarchy can be many things. This includes the logos, width, the small subtitles, that is a set of 3, the name, the website, the lemon, which is the CTA. Those are in the list. Then the medium is the lorem and the 2 lines of text under it. Then the highest is what? The image. All right. So like I said, you should be able to break down your content to this point. Okay, this is what's going to take the most attention. You understand? So if I wanted the text to take the most attention, I would have done it in a different way, and the image would be smaller than that. All right. So but that's it. Then we have the CTA, which is learn more, because I want them to learn more about this particular event. It's supposed to be like a business conference or something. You understand? And I put the website. That is CTA. Most of us don't put CTA in our design. I don't know what you want your audience to do after looking at your design. You'll say, okay, it is fine, and that is all. You didn't tell them to do anything. It's only people that are really interested that will actually say, okay, I really need this, let me call these people. Put it there. Call us now. Order now. Shop now. Visit us now. Visit our website. No, you don't use visit our website. That's too long. Visit us. Is okay. And some other things that you can use for CTA. But you get the point. Use the least amount of information to pass the most information you need. You understand? All right, so that's all about this design. I barely use an hour for this. All right, so I'm just trying to tell you how fast you can be productive if I'm only my finishing up Panadol. I'm just trying to tell you how fast you can be if you actually follow a process. All right, I'm showing the process I follow, at least in most cases. Although now I practice this process virtually in my mind, no longer physically. I don't sketch that much anymore. I do it if I just want to. If it's getting confusing, I just sketch. You understand? It always gets clearer. I don't want to know how confused I am. It always gets clearer when I sketch. But if it's not a big deal, see straight on your laptop and done. So amount of that's it. You understand? That's because I've been able to train myself to that level. And it's something you can also achieve. You just have to take consistent effort. All right, and keep learning. Don't always assume that you're the best. Me, that I'm talking to you, I have people that I follow. I have people that are not speaking English that I follow. I have people in Brazil. I have people in Russia that the ones in Brazil, I don't speak to them because I don't speak their language. Okay, I spoke to one because that one speaks English. There's another one in Russia, that one also speaks English. But these guys, they're very good. You understand? Although they might not be able to teach you for free. They can't teach you for free. But you speak to them, try to ask them questions. You understand? There's the one in Russia, that's the one I actually relate with the most. He explains to me some things and he tells me some things anyways. That's how you interact with people, you learn from them. People that are good enough, like you say, okay, this is the style of design I want to learn. Go and learn from that person. Don't go and look at someone that is doing flyer design and say, teach me logo design. No, even the person knows it. That's the wrong person you should be dealing with. Right? If you want to learn logo design, go to a logo designer that is practicing. If you want to learn flyer design, go to a flyer designer that is practicing. If you say, okay, fine, you're going to pay me social amount to teach you, then pay if you want to pay. If you say, okay, fine, I'll teach you, no problem. Be humble and learn. Ask questions. Don't just... Some people don't have to learn from people. That's a problem. But I think that's all on this slide. Let's move on. So, actually, before you get to this point, of course, in your creating process, you have to understand that you might need to fine-tune some things before you export. But always save. You know that, especially people that if your system is not that strong and Photoshop can crash, be saving. If you need to be putting a reminder that will remind you to save every 10 minutes, better do it, or even 5 minutes, because 10 minutes is a long time. It's a very long time because you can do a lot of things, you can move a lot of things. So save intermittently, that is, keep saving. Except you are sure of the backup you have, that this system, no, Photoshop can never crash. Yeah, sometimes my own Photoshop too barely crashes, so I don't really get worried about saving. Now, export your design, then critique it based on the objectives that you considered at the beginning. Now, you have to ask yourself, now this flyer that I did, am I sure that this word that I put, is it really going to communicate well to these guys? Am I sure I'm using the right word? Or do you think it's too small? Can it be bigger or can it be smaller? Or is this one too big? And maybe is this color too bright? Can it be darker? Is the saturation too much? Is the text too small? Can it be smaller? Can it be bigger? Just critique it based on possible things that will go wrong. You understand? Then preview it for a lot of you that might not notice this. Everybody will notice this. Most of the time when you design on your laptop, especially if you're not using a 4K screen, by the time you send it to your phone, you see that it's now more saturated. Especially people that select red. You would think that on your system, the red is not too much, Joe. It's okay. It is when you now send it to your phone It's when you now send it to your phone that you now say, need Porsche. So what you should do that around that time is that you should notice all those things. Then that's why I used to tell people I don't select colors I barely select colors that exceed 80% saturation. They're only on rare occasion. Maybe I'm not using it for a large space. Maybe I'm using a small space, I can select colors that are maybe close to 90% saturation. But if I'm going to use like a background, see, 70, 80 is your friend. Anything more than that, it might be too much for the eyes. All right. So critique your work. Look at the colors. How is it too bright? Is it too dark? Are there typos? Did I mistype something? Some minor changes. Okay, fix the image. Do you think did I miss this thing? Did I cut this image? Well, this edge it looks like. So all those little things. All right, little things. These things you have to correct them. All right. So when you're now done on your side, you have critiqued based on laid down and realistic objectives, because there might be some unrealistic objectives. Let's say you want to do something that you have not learned, that is unrealistic. You have to learn something before you actually do it. If what you don't have, you cannot reproduce. All right. Don't let anybody that say, I trust you can do better. If you know that you have not learned it, don't take that job. Tell the person you cannot do it and go and learn it. Or the person you can tell the person, if the person can be patient enough, give me 2 weeks, I'll go and learn this thing and I'll get back to you. Or give me 1 month, I'll go and learn, I'll get back. But never say you will learn on the job, especially if you're a freelancer. If you're working in an office, you can still say you want to learn on the job because you have to. You don't have any choice actually. But you're a freelancer, my brother, my sister. Tell them you cannot do it. Humbly reject it for your own sanity. If not, if you don't get it, it is you that they will still blame. They will not say they're the one that pushed it to you. You understand? So you must be sincere with yourself and do what you can do. All right? Do what you can do. So make sure you've agreed. If you say you can admit that, okay, I can't actually do this for you because I don't think I don't. You might know what the style the person needs, but you might not know that style. So you might tell me, okay, I can't do this. Or if you can relate with someone that knows the style, then you can collaborate. So the person can give you a cut out of the price or something. All right. So once you have critiqued it, then you now readjust, then export it for external feedback. That is now when you send to your clients, or maybe you send to a colleague. I will not suggest posting it to a large group, because that might not turn out so well. People might not respond and you will feel hurt. Or people will respond and they will advise you against your objectives. So I would suggest you show to a colleague that can actually understand the objectives you have laid down. Especially from a colleague that you are learning from. You, of course, colleague that you have about, not two designers are actually at the same level. Most of one is always better than the other. One is always more skilled than the other. You understand? So, but then, like my approach to learning is that I learn from everybody. There are some people that I teach that I still learn from them, but most of the time they don't know that I'm learning from them. So you are the one that understand. That is actually my lifestyle. I learn from everybody, young and old, because you can't know everything. Regardless, because you are the oldest doesn't mean you are the wisest. So you must be able to know how you can pick. There's a designer, I saw him, I said, I told him, I actually like what you do. He was like saying buzz, like, see, Baba, forget buzz. This particular thing I do, that's the only thing I like. That's the only thing I like in that design. The design might not be so beautiful, but that one thing, I praise it to him, make him feel good about it. You understand? If I don't know it, I need him to teach me. I might even go that fast, asking to teach me. You understand? But most cases, I learn from everywhere. So that I can enforce and upgrade my skill well enough. The more vast you are, the better you can be sometimes. Not just about doing it, but actually defending it. You understand? It's just like saying you're learning to speak other people's language. Then if it's only Yoruba that you use to understand something, but because you can speak other people's language, you can interpret to them so that they can understand. If not, if you keep speaking Yoruba and the people that are speaking to don't understand Yoruba, you just keep saying rubbish. Even though you are skilled, you are good, but you're not speaking to their language. You understand? That's why you have to understand your audience and speak what they understand. All right? So, yeah, save, critique, readjust, export for external critiques and feedback, work with your client. Don't be fast to oppose your client, work with them to see how you can make it better. But if your client is still the kind of person that doesn't know what he wants, please don't do that job. I advise don't work with those kind of people. If not, they will stress you and they can in a way play with your conscience that you will not like. So I think this is the last slide for this class. So I think this is a session where I begin to ask for questions. So please do well to ask your questions now. I'm going to compile a more detailed. You might want to have a PDF copy of all these things that I'm saying. So I'm going to make that ready shortly, not this week. Most likely in the new week. But definitely I'm sure this group will not be dissolved that fast, but I'm going to let it out. If it's not on this group, you'll find it on my Instagram. So do well to follow me, all right? Do well to follow me and just monitor my page. That's just monitor my page. Everything I'm going to be releasing now to be on my page. So you can just visit my D-Sharp page. That is the one at the bottom of the of the slides. That is what's it called now? See that, and from there you get to link up with my YouTube, my Instagram. I'm not active on Facebook, but you can also do that because most of what I post on Instagram are reshared to Facebook. And I'm on Twitter, but not for design's sake. So you don't have to follow me there. And you can chat me up. Once in a while, and I'll try as much as possible to reply. But please do wait to send in your questions. I will attend to them shortly, if not tonight, tomorrow, or as soon as I can. All right, but I'll make sure I try to attend to almost all the questions, if not all, depending on what I'm asked. So thank you all for staying with me. I hope you have questions. If your questions are waiting for, so I'm just going to patiently wait for all of you to be done with the voice notes, and I'll get to answering questions. So till then, so you're just starting out with design. For a person just like in the area of graphic design, what is best to start with, and not to be all over the place and getting confused and maybe wearing out. Can you give a few points? Okay. Now, graphic design is broad. You have the UI, you have the advertising, you have the packaging, you have the tutorial, you have the video, you have the photography, you have the photo manipulation, blah blah blah. You have a lot of them. So it depends on what you want to start with. Depends on you. What is what do you want? What do you love to get engaged with the most? Although when you're starting out, you have to learn all of them. You understand? You have to learn all of them, because at the end of the day, you keep doing all of them. But you definitely have one that you do like 80% of the time, and the many other ones are just 20%. You understand? So, but if you are starting, you can't learn all of them at once. You have to learn them one after the other. If you are learning basic advertising design, don't go and start learning video editing too. It's not going to help you. You understand? So focus. Okay, for 2 months, I'm working on advertising design. I'm going to be learning how to create flyers, billboards, and the rest of them. That's what you're learning that period of time, 2 or 3 months. All right. You get materials, get resources, you buy courses if you have to, get the paid tuition if you have, or get the paid mentorship if you have to. Focus on that. So, but for my idea, I will advise you, if you're looking to earn some money as you do it, I advise you start with advertising, because you can easily get somebody that needs a flyer than to get someone that needs you to do a brochure. Although doing brochures are actually quite easier. Talking about the design, the number of techniques and number of styles you have to incorporate, doing brochures are actually easier, but people don't actually know this. The fear is that because brochures usually contain more than 1 page, sometimes a brochure can go as much as 200 pages. So that's the only fear, is that it's going to require more energy, but usually it's more simpler. You can do a 20-page brochure in a day. You can that's not what I want to say. What I'm trying to say is that you can do many pages in a brochure, and you not feel like you are creatively stressed. But you can do one flyer and you feel like creatively stressed, because there's just one style that you're not getting. You understand? But I advise you to just start with flyers. If you want to get the money as you have started, start with flyers. Although don't start and start getting money immediately. Work for it, learn for it, like a period of time, master the craft to level before you start working for the money, before you start working for money. You understand? But what I would advise you is that get a quick understanding of all the different fields that I've mentioned. Get a quick understanding of them. Then look at the one that you seem like it's easier for you to launch into immediately. And you know, all these things have laptop requirements. So you have to look at the one that also that you're ready for intellectually, and you're ready for financially. You can't say you want to go into 3D animation and you cannot afford a laptop that will do 3D animation. No, you can't say you want to start UI design and your laptop cannot work well with UI design. See, UI designs have, some people might not know, but when you're doing UI designs, your laptop specification, especially your screen, is like one of the most important things. If your screen is not 4K, please don't. I won't advise you to start. At least not commercial. In fact, I won't advise you to start at all. You can go and learn UX, but don't necessarily learn UI. You understand? UX is different from UI. But so just to give you a straight thing, look at the one that you love the most and look at the one that you have the money to pursue and go for it. I can't give you one. I'd say you should go for advertising because you can easily market that one now. It's almost needed, but just that if you don't have good clientele, you might not get so much out of it. The average price for a flyer now is like about 5K, and even that 5K is still high for some people. You understand? But if you focus on building your craft rather than getting the money, then you not get disturbed by not getting clients. You build yourself to a level that people start demanding from you. You understand? So you can start with advertising, work for billboards. I mean, if you really want to get the job fast, most of them leverage on advertising. Then you can now move to editorial. It may be packaging, it may be video editing. Of course, you can learn photography on the side. You don't need to know how to take pictures. You just need to know photography in the area of editing pictures. That's what you need. Except you now have a personal interest in photography. You don't need. You can learn motion later on. You can learn motion design. If you want to move forward, you can say, okay, I'm going to 3D stuff. But note that as you're learning all this, make sure that you are learning them with a focus, with the purpose. For example, I intend to learn 3D design, but the reason why I'm learning 3D design is not because I want to be a 3D animator. No, because I want to use 3D design I want to infuse 3D design in my flyer creation. All this. So what I'm just trying to say is that I'm learning many other things so that I can apply them to what I want to be known for. So I'm not learning. I'm not learning 3D design so I can competing with 3D animators. No. I'm learning them so that I can apply more 3D styles to my design as a advertising designer. Do you understand? So that is the mind at which we learn other things. If not, if you say you want to be good at flyer, you also want to be the best 3D animator, you also want to be the best motion designer, you will just waste your time. Okay, have one focus. Start with that one. Know it's a basic level. Then learn other ones and see how you can interpret them. Embed them into the current one that you're actually focusing on. All right, you don't have to focus on flyer designs, but you might say, okay, I want to be a UI designer, but I don't have the money. Start from where you can start having money from. All right, or learn what you can to the stage where you can afford going into it full time. You understand? So if you want to be best, focus on the beginning. Just focus on understanding the theory. Understanding the theory, it will help you analyze better and it will help you in your learning process. Theory will not give you everything. Theory will only help you understand where you are lacking and what you need to add. If you don't understand the theory, you might not be able to learn so well. You'll be watching a lot of YouTube videos, but you will not be able to use them because the knowledge of the theory is just like a rudder, it's just like a compass. It tells you where to go, but it will not tell you how to. It will not move your legs. The theory is like the rudder. So, but if you don't have the theory, it's like someone that's walking that doesn't have a direction. But if you have the theory, you have a direction. So you can know, okay, this place I'm supposed to be going towards, I should turn left here, I'm going to turn right here. You understand? So work on the theory, learn in bits, don't learn in bulks. What I mean by learning in bits, you can say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm only learning how to design flyers. Okay, I'm done with that. I've done flyer design challenge, I'm better now. Okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to be doing only UI design. That does not mean I'll not be doing flyer design. I'll still be doing flyer design, but in terms of my study, at least 60% of my study will be invested in UI design, while the remaining 40% I'll split it around the other ones, like the core flyer, because you have to keep practicing your flyers. You have to keep them. You understand? Learn in bits, have the right software, have the right laptop specification, invest in your internet, invest in food, good rest. Believe me, see, I've suffered. Good food, good rest, good light, good internet. See, all these things, if you can have all these things, see, you don't have much problem. Then now go and know how you know how to talk to people, get clients, talk on groups, good network with people and all those things. That's how you actually can make it. If not, if you are so skilled and nobody knows you, bro, except you just enjoy yourself, just learning. If you are skilled and nobody knows you, you won't get any money. You understand? The point is, be skilled and have money. In this life, have money. Like I always say, have money. I think your name is Jasper. Okay, I mean that's what I can see on your number. So you don't have to use images. So a design can be either only images. Sometimes it can be only images, but most times it's not always only images. It should be largely images. There may be just one line of text, and that's all for the design. And also it can be only texts. It's like your design can only be text. Of course, you have that for in many applications. You have typographic posters. You find that in a lot of editorial designs. You find it like something like your normal newspaper. That is editorial design. You barely find images on your newspaper. There are some pages that don't have images at all. They're just texts, lines, text, rectangles. That's all. Yes, to answer your question in one word, yes, it can only be text. It can only be text. Corporate flyers to just need only text. This just depends on what you and your client agrees on. All right, so don't limit yourself that you have to put an image. No, you don't always have to put an image. But like I used to say, sometimes I treat my texts as an image. So sometimes, especially when it's a text-heavy design, I treat the text as an image. So there's a way that I can create an image out of just the text. Most typographic posters, why they're actually fascinating is because the typography is now used as a form of imagery, not necessarily as type. They are still types. It's still typography, but depending on their level of expertise, they have been able to use type in a stylish way that makes it look like an image. It's not an image; they are just text, but it has this sense of imagery in it. Not because it looks like something. No. It might not necessarily look like something, but the way it is used, I don't really know how to explain it that much. But if you search on typographic posters, you actually see all these things in use rather. I like this question. Someone who wants to start corridor. See, now, this, if you want the easy one, if you want to learn a software, just go and buy a course on it. That one is easy. What you do is that by the time you learn that course, by the time you're done with the course, maybe like 2 weeks, by the next 2 or 3 weeks, go and start watching YouTube videos to exercise what you have learned, because most courses only shows you way and give you some basics. Understand? It's not usually enough. It's enough for you to carry yourself, but it's not enough for you to start practicing. So what you do is that after learning the course, go to YouTube and start downloading videos, learn this effect that this person did using this software. Learn that, learn this. But as I said, learn with focus. Don't just jump from here and there. Okay, learn with focus. Now, if you don't have money to spend, what do you now do to learn the software? Now, you know the elements and principles of design, yeah? Now, let's say typography now, color. Let's say you want to start with corridor. How do I use text on corridor? Go and search on YouTube. Look for like 30 minutes lecture on working with text on corridor. You will get it. If you have a structured learning process like that, you can even learn better than somebody that went to buy a course. But it's always difficult because most people don't know how to learn. You understand? You have to know what you're searching for. Don't just go to YouTube and say, okay, fine, what is the trending video? Let me watch it. No. Know what you're looking for before you go there. You understand? Now, move on to color. Okay, how to use color in corridor. Go and search for it. How to work with images, how to cut images, how to edit images in corridor. Search on that. What other thing? You have shapes, forms, how to work with shapes and lines in corridor search. By the time you do all these things, you know that now they might not teach you anything new, but they'll teach you how to use that software to do what you've already known how to do. So you understand? So by the time you learn like that, say Photoshop, I've been using Corridor for like 10 years, at least 10 years. Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, I learned all of them last year. Yes, last year, 2019. I learned everything last year. I don't use Corridor anymore. I use Illustrator and Photoshop now, and InDesign for editorial design and some other interactive things. You understand? That's because I have a structure. Now, although I cannot say I use, okay, definitely I can say I use Photoshop more than Corridor now. I mean, I know Photoshop more than I know Corridor now. That though I've been learning Corridor for 10 years and I've only learned Photoshop for like maybe 1 year or so. Because of the structured learning process I have, I've been able to make the most out of it. And note something, you don't need to know everything about the software to create great designs. You just need to know just enough. That's why I say learn with the principles and elements of design. Learn how to navigate those things in that software you want to learn. Okay? If possible, just learn one software per time. If you're going to learn Photoshop, dedicate 2 weeks or 1 month Photoshop. Don't learn any other thing. When you're done with Photoshop, move to the next one. Alright, while you're still practicing Photoshop, be learning the other one. Understand? So really, I think that's the best way you can. And if you already know a design software already, whether on phone or whatever, learning any other software will not be difficult for you, because you will not be learning with the mind of a beginner. You'll be learning with the mind of somebody that already knows how to control basic tools. Yes, like, you just need to understand this particular. It's like saying that somebody that knows how to walk already, and now say the person has never walked in shoe before, but the person knows how to walk already. So when you now give him a shoe, he's not going to learn like somebody that's just starting to walk. No. What the work he needs to do is not going to be smaller. That is, he knows, okay, like the way you walk on high heels is not the same way you walk with flat sole shoes. I'm talking to the ladies particularly. You understand? So somebody that knows how to walk definitely will know how to walk on flat sole. You understand? To learn high heel will be a bit hard, but you'll be able to get it. But somebody that doesn't know how to walk at all, you don't give the person high heel, you will fall down a number of times. So very, very much. It should even be harder for the person. So for you that already have good understanding of design on phone or whatever, you have an advantage. You can learn faster. See, now one of the reasons why I was able to learn other softwares faster, because I already know how to use Corridor. I could use Corridor for almost anything. Then you understand. So it was easier for me to learn other softwares. Premiere Pro, I learned Premiere Pro 2 last year. It was late last year. Understand? My YouTube channel, I create my videos myself. Though they are not so much, they are not so fantabulous like that, but I do them myself, and it's something that I learned. Sure, you understand? So if you can have a structured learning process, brother, there's nothing that is so difficult for you. No matter whether there's nothing that is so going to, if you already have an experience in design, you won't even have problem like that. So bro, just go into it and do well, man.